Hey guys, this is Ruth at Extraordinary Farm, and this is video number 2 of my 3-part series in talking about raising your own chicks. And in the last one, I talked about the last 3 days in lockdown in your incubator. This one, we're actually going to be focusing on the brooder and what needs to happen in the brooder. Now, the technical definition of a brooder is actually a heated house. And so I want you to keep that in mind because I'm going to explain to you my system here, and it kind of goes with the fact that I've been trying to figure out how to talk to you about setting up a brooder because there is so many different styles and so many different methods out there of brooding chicks. And mine is actually based off of the old timers and what they used to use. Obviously I don't use the kerosene lamp. This is a little bit more healthier, but this one is very effective and works great, and especially for those of you who are off the grid, this is the ideal system right here. But there's actually 4 elements that you need to know when you set up your brooder here, and you need to put a little bit of thought in here, just like you do with your chicken coop. And the first requirement actually in your brooder is actually your space. You need about a half a square foot per bird. Now it sounds like a lot, but it's actually only a 6-inch by 6-inch spot. So take that in consideration as to how many chicks you get. If not, you're going to have containers all around your house with just a couple chicks in it. So that's number 1. Spacing also does a lot for preventing diseases. It also helps manage the manure too as well if you have proper spacing. The second is actually ventilation. Now, ventilation is just important in the brooder as it is out in the coop. So when you're setting up your brooder, obviously you don't want to have it in a very tight enclosed space that doesn't have a good airflow, because that's just going to bring in more options for more disease. Because if you have stagnant air, it's a great breeding ground for bacteria. Also, it helps keep the ammonia level down, which it comes naturally with chicken poop, and especially after the first 3 to 4 days. Baby chicks will start producing that odor. If you manage it well enough, you'll never even know it's in your house, and you should be fine. And it's not going to hurt anybody if it's there, as long as it's not in toxic levels. And trust me, by the time that it gets to a toxic level for a chicken, the damage is already done, and it's not nearly as noticeable for us. The third is actually lighting. Now, one of the biggest things that I have read in many books and on many websites is it's saying that you're supposedly supposed to put your birds under 24 to 48 hours worth of complete light. And that is to help encourage them to eat and drink. Well, here's the thing. That's for commercial factories. So it has nothing to do with the home base and providing light 24 hours a day for the first day or so and teaching these guys how to eat and drink. It has nothing to do with that. So it's basically a bunch of malarkey. I've never, in all the time that I've been raising chicks in the last 10 years, actually done any of that. They go to bed when it's dark and they get up when it's light. Everywhere in between is just fine. So just use whatever lighting's in your house. If you can, the more natural lighting you give them, the better anyways, because lighting actually dictates how much they eat and how much it can go toward the growth. The fourth is actually your heating element. And this is where my system that I've read about and started using last year in trial runs and fell in love with, and now I'm completely full tilt this year. Your heat can be just about anything. They can be the heat lamps. I have as a backup the Brosman brooders, but I don't really need them because this is a completely electrical free system that I'm using here. I've seen people use heating pads, which I highly discourage. So heat can just be about from any source. So let's take a look at mine. How I did this is it's actually 2 boxes. There's an open yard, so you can see where these guys are. That's my open yard. And then the back box is completely closed except for a pop hole. And here's why. My heat source is actually water bottles filled with hot water from the tap. Not boiling water, but hot water from the tap. I fill it up about twice a day. Sometimes it's more if I don't have a lot of chicks. These guys just finished hatching, so there's approximately 26 in here. And so they snuggle up, and then by keeping the top closed and covered, the chicks actually kind of help with keeping the heat source in there because they raise the temperature as well. So this is my hot water bottle method. Now, I have a second method that I use, and you come with me downstairs. Excuse my really messy house. I'm right in the middle of chickyhood. So, this is the cold brooder. Now, cold brooder, how it works is you're actually using the heat from the chicks. So you need a good amount of heat for your, a good amount of chicks in here to make this method work. If not, stick with the hot water bottles and you should be golden. Hey, get down. So in this method, because there's 20 some odd chicks in here and they're ranging from 2 weeks to 3 weeks old, they actually go in the back in the pop hole and they sleep in there and they raise the heat level up there if they need it. Now, here's the kicker. Since I put the oldest birds down here, which they hatched at the beginning of the month, and they're almost 3 weeks old now, none of them have used that. They prefer to sleep out here, and they just kind of group up and they're happy as pie, and that's where they sleep. And so they have the option. I mean, if I hear anybody down here peeping and thinks they need an extra heat supply, I mean, I do have it set up so that I can fill these water bottles up with hot water if they need it. But for the most part, they don't even go in there. I mean, they stay right out here. And the only heat source that's down here is actually my pellet stove, and they're kind of directly in front of it, so that gives them a little bit extra heating source here. But otherwise, there's no electrical heat here. I mean, there's nothing above, and that's a new brooder I'm working on down below. So I hope this answers some of your questions about what I do here at the farm. And also the fact that you can just, I mean, any style of brooders, as long as you follow the 4 basic rules of spacing, ventilation, lighting, and a heat source, and you should be golden. So I hope this helps out anybody who's looking into starting some chicks naturally. And if you have any questions, just drop me a line on the Facebook page or give me a private message.